Greetings, everyone. I hope you all are doing well and having a great week thus far. This is my presentation for EDL 550 Foundations in Higher Education with Dr. Andrew Ryder. For this presentation, I will be discussing how to think about the Dartmouth College case. Presentation outline. This presentation, I will be just giving a brief overview of the readings for this particular module, followed by a follow-up sum up of the Dartmouth case, and as well as the article, followed by concepts and themes that are geared towards the article. Next, I will be discussing the importance, reasons this article and this case is important within higher education. And then lastly, any pressing questions that we have and that will begin the discussion for this particular module. First, the brief overview. During the 18th, 19th centuries, higher education, more pertaining to universities, went through a period of innovation and consumeration without no government regulations. This means that there was no government interference or accountability from the government, leaving all decisions towards curriculum, religion, and finance to the university. Number two, the college expansion. Growth of degree-granting universities during the 1800s from 25 to over 240 college universities by 1860. Through this expansion, there was a formation of diverse institutions offering formal programs such as universities, academies, seminaries, normal schools, and institutes without support from government regulations. Two service academies, however, were regulated by the government, and those two were West Point and the Naval Academy in Annapolis. This follows suit with new ideas within medicine, law, engineering, military science, commerce, theology, and agriculture. This leads with the new ideas leads into modern university forerunners. Modern university forerunners were considered to were universities that had successful enrollment rates. They had inspection of curriculum and notable alumni that further ideas the concepts of the universities. And some of these modern university frontrunners were Transylvania University, University of Virginia, South Carolina College, which leads this to the Dartmouth case. To get a great overview, I suggest, make a recommendation, please go and try to find a legal format, legal layout of the Dartmouth case to get a better understanding. It can also be found not only within the article, but also a better understanding will be found in the in our foundations book. So I suggest you read that as well if you have not done so. Dartmouth v. Woodard, for first, is the facts of the case was that the college received a charter from England with the seeking of private funds that entails the purpose of the school and outlined from the duties of trustees for control over the college. A dispute arose that was seeking expansion of the college to the state legislature, which is in New Hampshire. And the issue came to life was, can a state legislature change the charter of a college or take over the college? And the ruling that the Supreme Court did was that it ruled in favor of Dartmouth College and is made the college private and separate from the New Hampshire legislature, meaning that the state legislature could not have any doings with their charter, and it will bring in everything back to the university. This led to Dartmouth College being marked as the Magna Carta of private colleges. The decision of the case gave distinction to private institutions, maintaining their status from public institutions. Prior to the decision, however, there was a fusion between both public and private institutions, meaning no one could tell which is what. And there's a quote from the president of Bowdoin College, if I'm saying it right, excuse me. He states that it always ought to be remembered that literacy contributions are found and endowed for the common good and not for the private advantage of those who result to them for education. This means that if a person uses public funding for education, then a person must in return serve their talents for the public good. Concepts and themes. So there are three themes and concepts that I particularly that I grabbed from the articles. The first one was the traditional interpretation. This means that during the time, Whitehurst, in the article, Whitehead, concluded that the distinction of private and public institutions was a post-war phenomenon. Because after the Dartmouth decision, there was no widespread acceptance of the distinction. It received little attention towards the issue, and Dartmouth College continued to solicit state representatives to be trustees for the college. There was also not a spark of creating private institutions, but typically went towards trying to create more institutions for state aid. This led into the second concept, which was religious control. Whitehead and Herbst noted from Stephen Novak's article, The College and Dartmouth College, a reinterpretation that Dartmouth was not concerned about control from the state legislature, but that was concerned with the religious direction for the college. Novak also stated that the decision by the Supreme Court meant that Dartmouth would be seen as an evangelical education, and that's something that they did not want to be seen as. The college did not object to the state of New Hampshire, but only to their support and the views of the founding family's religious funding, meaning they did not want to give up those religious funding or the fund based upon a religious decision or religious marking by another from the Supreme Court. Oh, excuse me, sorry. The last choice was theme was the word choice and characterization. Whitehead discusses the characterization of the public and private institutions, how we name institutions based upon their effectiveness throughout the community. Herbst observes the difficulty of the distinction based upon the terms public and private were not used when referencing colleges during the colonial period. This meant the colleges were chartered by either the crown or colony, that its mission was to serve the people of the colony and province. So there was really no distinction of public and private institutions. There was no really distinction or case between public and private institutions during that time era. Only they knew a college was formed based upon the crown or that particular colony. Whitehead looks at the Dartmouth decision from two angles. He first looks at it as its effect on Dartmouth and to the implications for the development of the American higher education. This goes more into the decision. The decision made a clear distinction between public and private institutions, placing Dartmouth within a private category. And the decision showed that there were two kinds of colleges and was entitled to different kinds of immunities. Whitehead poses the question, if localities and churches sponsor the college, should the college be a private or public institution? And the concluding answer that the article gave was no, because most of the institutions were non-public or non-provincial, meaning they did not belong to a newly formed, state institution, or to the older institutions will be classified within the older descendants from their particular institutions. So you can see from the themes and from the concepts that there was with Dartmouth, it was basically it was you can really make heads or tails. It did great for the institutions, great for the institution, but it really at the same time it didn't. It just left a lot of great area to go off of, and it really again up to the discretion of both the states and into the particular colleges. Lastly, with the importance, the Dartmouth decision set the guidelines and laid the legal foundation for future decisions regarding the characterization of public and private institutions, and then the significance of the side-by-side existence of public and private institutions that want to compare themselves to institutions of other countries, and the common factor that is accepted by society is public institutions are the majority and private institutions are the exceptions. Meaning, basically, we're trying to, the important we're seeing is when we're talking about the discussion within higher education of public and private institutions, does these particular institutions exist, can coincide with each other? It was mentioned within the article that because the Dartmouth decision actually kind of eliminated the structure or eliminated any opportunity for the state of New Hampshire to even try to coincide and come up with a public institution or to have any kind of relationship. And within this day and age, you kind of have to have a relationship on both sides, on both spectrums, because both are going for the common goal. Both are actually is serving not just private institutions are not just serving the private sector. They may be getting funding from the private sector, but they're also their students are going in within the public sector after they graduate. So being prepared and having that relationship there is really vital and understanding from that and necessary towards their success and growth of the universities. So the last of the pressing questions that I have, and to begin the discussion for the topic for this particular module, based on the readings, what is your definition for the term private institution? Is there a true difference between public and private institution regarding academics, services, or religion? Is there a trend of more students going to private institutions rather than public institutions? And what is your experiences with private institutions? The second question I have is Whitehead and Herbst discussed the side-by-side existence of public and private institutions. What type of relationship do you think public and private institutions have with each other? Are they able to come together and serve for the public good? As future professionals in higher education, what will be your role in enhancing or developing a relationship between public and private institutions? So, saying that, I mean, there's a lot more we can go into, and we covered a lot, and I'm looking forward to listening and hearing from feedback from you all about this presentation and seeing how these questions are going. I'll try to make these questions as broad as possible and begin to really have a true dialogue and conversations. And lastly, to show the growth and seeing the logo for Dartmouth College. Again, I'd like to thank you all for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, please contact me on the discussion board. I'll be happy to answer the questions for you, help you guide through the module. I thank you so much for your time and your patience. I hope you have a wonderful and safe, happy 4th of July out there. Please be careful, enjoy your families, and I look forward to hearing your responses. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.